Welcome to Heaping Spoonful, a twice-monthly conversation with restaurateurs, chefs, growers, and others who have helped generate the legends associated with eateries across the Mid-South. The team at Benny Keith is proud to sponsor this adventure with the goal of preserving the stories that have helped cultivate an amazing food scene across the Mid-South. So kick back and enjoy a Heaping Spoonful.
Hello, everybody. I'm Kelly Bass, your host here on Heaping Spoonful. And on these podcasts, we cast the spotlight on chefs and restaurateurs who make the Mid-South dining scene equal parts fantastic and unique. I spent more than 3 decades writing about the Arkansas food scene for a couple of Little Rock-based newspapers and then magazines. But today, I just talk about food. And that's thanks to Benny Keith Foods Mid-South Division, sponsor of Heaping Spoonful. And I will tell you, just as I was telling these two gentlemen, I like talking about food a lot more than writing about it, but I still like eating it even better than that. So today we're talking to Kelly Lovell and Walt Todd. They're the masterminds behind Count Porkula, purveyors of some of the best barbecue you can find in a state that considers barbecue a religion. So that is saying something. So welcome, Kelly. Welcome, Walt.
Well, thank you, Kelly. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Kelly. Thanks for having us.
Yep. So before we get to the story of Count Porkula and how it came to be, let's talk about you guys, your backgrounds and how you met. So, Kelly, you're from New Mexico, which has great food, and our friend Rusty Mathis spent some good years in Albuquerque.
Yeah.
But, you know, I think about green chilies and some of the Southwestern-style foods. I don't think exactly about barbecue, at least barbecue as we know it in Arkansas. And from what I can gather, you came here to go to the University of Central Arkansas in Conway. So what led a New Mexico guy to come to UCA?
Yeah, I did. Long story short, I came to Arkansas to play football for UCA.
Well, that's a good football school.
My dad's side of the family lived in Conway, and I felt that if I had followed my friends to other colleges, I probably wouldn't have played football, and I probably wouldn't be here today. So, I came out and was around family and got to UCA and walked on as a freshman and earned a scholarship.
Sweet.
From there, just, went to college, did my thing, met my wife, and, been in Little Rock ever since.
Cool. I guess she's from Arkansas.
She is, yeah. She grew born and raised in Conway.
Okay, good. Well, that's great. Were you much of a cook, much less a pit master at that point, or were you more of an eater than a cooker?
No, much more of an eater than a cooker. I didn't really get into culinary or food or anything like that until my wife and I moved to D.C. back in 2003.
Okay, and what took you all up to D.C.?
So my wife was going to Georgetown to get her LLM, and I was up there for about 6 weeks before she got up there. And I was watching Emerald every night, the Food Network, and really started to get into cooking. And my mother taught me to cook when I was young. But, one of those, so I was very self-sufficient, but not really into the point where I was cooking fish and sauces and, things of that nature. And then, so DC kind of struck me to getting into food. And then shortly when I got back in late 2004, Walt and I hooked up and started looking at the barbecue business.
Oh, that's cool. So, Walt, you're from here, a Central Arkansas boy.
Born and raised.
But on the Count Porkula website, it says you used to love to grill and smoke meats with your dad. So you did grow up doing at least something like what you do now.
Yes, and it's not like what we do now,
right?
Honestly,
just backyard.
But growing up, my parents divorced at an early age, so I'd go to my dad's on the weekend, and his dad always cooked on Saturdays. He'd cook chicken or ribs or what have you on a grill out in the carport, and that just passed down from him to my dad, and then to me. And so, every weekend we cooked out. It was just what we did. So that passed along, and I carried it with me throughout my youth and my college. I was always the guy cooking.
Right.
So anyway, it's just always kind of been there.
Well, it's a nice bonding chance for your dad and your granddad and you. That's cool.
Oh, to this day, it's I've been influenced by them, by those two men, a lot in how I cook and anyway.
Sure. But again, you all had careers well before Count Porkula. So Kelly, you were in the corporate world for 17 years. What were you doing, and what kind of work, and for whom?
Yeah, I worked for Waste Management for 17 years. I started out as a sales rep in 1999, and 3 years later, I got into management, went to D.C., followed Waste Management out there, then, came to Waste Management back here. And that's actually how I got to meet Walt, was through Waste Management, because his wife and I worked together. And so, we worked together, and we got to meet him or each other on the weekends and, at Christmas gatherings and stuff for Waste Management. And so, yeah, I was there and started working for them. And then, 17 years later, it was getting old, Kelly.
I know the feeling.
And I think both of us are a little bit. But, it was one of those things that was like, what am I going to do the rest of my life? I've been here 17 years, and they were great to me. I was very loyal to them. They were great to me. It was a great experience for my, young adulthood. And I just had to make a decision at that point in time. And we had gotten into Count Porkula in 2008, just as, doing tailgates and family gatherings and things of that nature. So that was kind of our side gig for a long time.
Sure.
Of course, he had a full-time job. I had a full-time job. And so, I left Waste Management, went to work for another company, which didn't work out. And at that moment in time, it was kind of eye-opening for us and for me in general to take what assets we had, which we had bought in a food truck already, and start that full time.
Yeah. And Walt, you were in the family business for 25 years. What was that family business?
My stepfather and my mom started a company called Blind Ambition back in the mid 80s.
Yeah.
Right. He was an architect, worked
Out on Bowman Curve.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And so we were out there. Prior to that, he was an architect, worked for Polk Stanley, worked for Tom Harding.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I remember doing the Stevens building when I was 12 years old, installing. We did a window covering. So
right.
Mini blinds and shades.
Yeah, I remember the store quite well. And, at that point in time in the 80s, I was more of the buying the little, matchstick ones from Pier 1. I couldn't really afford to get.
There wasn't a market or there wasn't an avenue for people to do that. And there was a void, and that's what, he took a leap of faith kind of from architecture, kind of like what Kelly and I did.
Sure.
With barbecue.
And so, again, you got to know each other. Your wife worked at Waste Management. You all became friends. I guess it didn't take long to figure out that you like to do barbecue. But so Count Porkula is the name of your smoker, or at least your original smoker.
Yes, it is.
And then you all came up with that cool name?
Yep.
Yes, we did.
And that was when you were doing, again, for friends and family and doing tailgates and doing backyard barbecue. Of course, you had big old Count Porkula, which is a good-looking rig. So you all just, I guess, decided that rather than just have our own couple of whatever kind of small smokers, we're just going to go for it and do Count Porkula?
Well, kind of. I mean, jealousy is a very motivating factor in smokers. So, we at the time, we were really looking for, a badass smoker.
Right.
But, those things are expensive, and it's kind of a side hustle, and we were just not really making money at it. We were just kind of having fun with it. But so I passed this smoker for 3 years on the side of the road next to a pawn shop, and finally I just figured, well, I'll just call. And so I called about it. The guy had bought a bigger one and had no use for it. So we got a really good deal on it. I called Kelly, and he was like, let's go. So we did it, and here we are, and we still have it.
What was the first step from we're cooking for friends and not making any money to did you start doing caterings, or how'd you start making any little bit of money?
Well, we first started making really bad barbecue.
Oh, did you?
Right.
It was really bad. I mean, it was
learning your way along.
We didn't have any rub. We didn't have, we didn't know what we were doing. I mean, we loved what we wanted to do, but we didn't know what we were doing.
Yeah.
And so, it kind of became more of a weekend experiment, and we were
trying.
We had done some waste management things. I think the first thing we did there was a hog game. I remember JT Firstel and those guys being out there, and Lewis Jordan, and we did a big about an 80-pound hog.
Whole hog.
Whole hog. And we had put sausage and alligator sausage, we had done this whole thing, and just had the greatest time.
That was so much fun.
And from there, it just kind of, we were like, I mean, when you look pictures back to that, I mean, that hog was so black, and I mean, it was not very big.
Oh, we've got to tell this brisket story.
Oh, yeah.
The first brisket story. So the first time we ever tried brisket, we cook it, and it's like awesome. And we're like, well, we got this.
Yeah, this is easy.
But then it takes us about another year to get one dialed in.
Right.
And it was the most frustrating period trying to dial brisket in, but we succeeded.
Well, I look back at so many things I love today, and I think about the Neapolitan pizza places that start all the middle was gooey, and I think Loblolly ice cream wasn't that good, and Rocktown's booze wasn't that good, and Dime Bear's beer wasn't that good. But you know what? You just keep working at it. It gets better. And so, again, you all have got Porkula, but you're that's not that you didn't have a truck then, though. You had a smoker.
No, we didn't have a truck. We just had the smoker for a while, and then I think it was until 2008 was when we created that. It was probably the summer of 15 when we saw a food trailer in Mayflower at a pawn shop. So we've had some good luck at pawn shops. Right. And so we bought that and kind of dabbled with it a little bit. Didn't do much. I think the biggest thing we did when we first got it was going out to Falcon Jet.
Yeah.
And spending a Saturday out there trying to feed some of their folks. And we put it at the side of the road at the front of where he lives and, did a few things, but didn't do much. And then it sat idle till – probably a year and a half until
we got busy at work and you got promoted.
Yeah.
It just work ate into the fun a little bit.
Sure.
But I don't know. How long did that?
And then it was, that was probably 14. And then 16 is when when I left Waste Management and did my deal. And then it was, that fall that we decided to go all in.
Right.
And was that, so you had your food trailer, is that when you got established working with the rail yard, or was that?
No, the food trailer.
Around?
Yeah, the food trailer was just, once we got it wrapped and had all the equipment in there and did all its deal, we started doing, tasting Tuesdays at banks and, various places around town. We started going to religiously down to the Blue Cross Blue Shield building where the old Verizon campus was in Riverdale.
We did Little Rock Ranger games.
Yep.
We went to the Little Rock Air Force Base.
Baptist Health, their farmers markets in the mornings. I mean, we got to a point where we knew where we were going to be, and we started planning it.
Just putting it on social media and saying,
we were.
Get some
barbecue. And we got really good at being able to figure out how much food to cook for various sizes of people, and we were catering at the time, and then that's when it all became like, okay, we need a kitchen. We need something to help us do more.
Could you do as much stuff out of the trailer as you're doing in your restaurants now, or was it a more limited menu?
It's more limited. It's a more limited
menu. More like
menu.
pulled pork and ribs and chicken, maybe.
Depending on the event, But I mean, we were limited.
Well, and if you're
without a kitchen, it's much
and if you're somewhere long enough, if you're there 8 to 5, I mean, you can do a bigger menu. But we were at places from 11 to 1 or 1:30, or 4 to 6, or something of that nature. And our motto's always been, let's give great food, but let's get it out quick.
Yeah.
Let's make sure that everybody understands, hey, they're going to come over here and get things done.
Well, that's one thing. I mean, you barbecue, you don't have to cook it on the spot. You can serve it on the spot. But, I mean, it's like Excalibur is a great burger, but, boy, you got to wait for it because they're cooking it to order. And, those burgers take 20, 30 minutes to get them out.
Yeah.
Kyle may have the best burger out there.
I know. It's hard to argue.
It's a 10-minute burger.
I know. And I will tell you, for a while there was I live right up on the hill overlooking Riverdale, and he was down in that parking lot there at the corner of Cedar Hill Road and Cantrell, and you had to get like a ticket to get your slot, but I found a few tickets. That's cool. So how did you get connected up with the rail yard? Or was that sort of the next step?
No, it was. I mean, I'll tell you the day that it happened. Not necessarily the connection, but we were at the St. Patrick's Day parade, my wife and kids and I, and we were at Raduno.
Yeah.
And watching the parade, went there for lunch, and a friend of mine, Jamie Moses, with his dad Jimmy and then Moses Tucker, he came in, and we've been friends. Our daughters are friends and family, and he came in and we started talking. He goes, "Man, I got something to show you." And I said, "What is that?" And he goes, "Well, we thought about y'all the other day." And I said, "Well, what is it?" And he said, "Well, we're having an alley party down in East Village off 6th Street, and that's when Downtown Partnership was doing the alley parties.
I was at most of those.
Yeah, and he said I want to show you the spot, what we're thinking. And so we went down there. I went down there that day and took pictures, and I sent it to Walt. I said, man, this might be the place. And we didn't think much of it. And then it was, I don't know, a couple months or later that Jamie called me and said, hey, we're going to meet down there, but I want to introduce you to the ladies that are thinking about going down there too. And so him and I went down there, and we got to meet Murray and Linda and Virginia with Jamie, and we started talking, and they needed a void filled, and we needed a void filled, and so it was kind of a blessing for us to be able to get into a spot like that with our food truck already,
right?
And we never considered it a restaurant.
I mean, the timing of it.
You just set up the trailer there.
Yeah, well, we were gonna
outside there where they have other food trucks.
Well, we were, yeah. Originally, we were, but we knew it was going to be a kitchen for us and a restaurant too. But we didn't go to it thinking that, hey, we're utilizing this as a huge restaurant. We're wanting it more for a commissary, a central location place.
Desperately needed a kitchen.
Cook, and then you can take it with you where you go.
That's exactly right.
Right.
And we had been smoking in our front yards, and it was time to have a proper place for our smokers and have a kitchen.
Yeah, to make other stuff, because it's not all just meat. I mean, you got you got sides and things. So y'all were working your food trailer down there, but then you moved inside and opened up as a restaurant inside the rail yard. When did that happen?
So that was November of 2018.
Okay. All right. Well,
so that's when our soft opening was.
Yeah. So you got a year and a half in pre-COVID. That's good. Yep. That's great. All right. Well, we're going to take a short break here on Heaping Spoonful. We'll be back in just a bit with Kelly Lovell and Walt Todd of Count Porkula.
I hope you're enjoying this episode of Heaping Spoonful. We at Benny Keith Foods enjoy talking about the food scene almost as much as we enjoy providing the top quality ingredients that help restaurateurs and chefs across the Mid-South create their magic. Now let's dive even deeper into the culinary world with your host, Kelly Bass.
Welcome back to Heaping Spoonful. We're now going to continue our conversation with Kelly and Walt of Count Porkula. So the rail yard is cool, and it's in an increasingly popular area of town. And, there's Cromwell's down there working, and you got Fidel and Company, and you used to be a restaurant, which is, I hear, coming back, but was Donnie Furneaux's spot. And, there's things, and of course, Avco Steel's down there, some other folks. So you have a little bit of built-in folks, but as we were saying before we started recording, it is not exactly a heavily trafficked road like Maumelle Boulevard. So you opened your second location in June of 2022, right there where 40,000 cars drive by every day. So how did that come to be? Was it also an opportunity when someone said, hey, you might want to consider this space?
Yes and no. I mean, so let's back up a little bit to last spring. We had already been in discussions with JTJ Restaurants,
right,
about expanding, and we had made the decision that we were going to buy the lot at Keatley, which was the old Ozark Smokehouse was.
That building got knocked down, right?
It did. It was knocked down. It had burned down, and they knocked it down, and so it was a clear lot. And so we bought that with that and being the intention of having our first standalone restaurant, with a bar program and the whole 9 yards. And it was probably, I don't know, Walt, wouldn't you say September, October when we first heard the word of the Hangout closing?
Yes, somewhere in there. Jim reached out to us.
Which was, again, for those who don't know, that was the last restaurant before Count Porkula in this same space on Maumelle Boulevard. And it had been 3 or 4 things, and they all had something to recommend them, but they never made it. Right. Yeah.
And another restaurateur here in town, Kevin Case. I mean, great guy, does a great job at his locations. And, for whatever reason, I don't know why that space didn't, but a friend of a friend knew him, and they had talked and realized that they were going to be going out of either just moving or not retaining that space. So at that moment in time, we decided, hey, this is, 40,000 cars going by there a day. This could be a great space for a second location. turned out to be it was the first location that we opened.
It just got done right. And for those, again, JTJ is the three Keats, and they've actually all three, Jake and Tommy and Jim have sat in these chairs and been on Heaping Spoonful, but they're long history of success in the restaurant business. And so when I heard that they had, you guys had teamed up to work together, I just knew good things were going to happen. And they have. So I have friends in the restaurant business who have moved from having one to having two. I remember telling Tomas Bohm at the pantry that he was making a big mistake by opening Pantry Crest because he couldn't be two places at once.
Right.
And I was wrong, and he was right. They've done really well. Do you worry about, of course, at least there's two of you, but do you worry about not being able, once you get the third one, when we'll talk more about Keatley in a little bit, or do you just feel like you got a good enough team that you got to trust them and everything's going to be okay?
I think with the team that we're building, especially with JTJ involved, they set you up for success with processes, procedures,
right,
and just resources, and one of which is talent. They have a way of finding people, and people want to go work for them because they're successful.
Yeah, well, that's good. And so let's talk. So again, you got Maumelle up and running, and Rusty. We were talking before this. Rusty and I were there for the soft opening day, and I hear it's just really going well. So have you been pleased? Surprised, or is this about what you expected in terms of the volume of business that's going through there?
I don't think we knew what to expect. We haven't been, we've been at the rail yard for 4 years and seen what it's done. We know the peaks and valleys, and we know the nuances of that. And so with a store like this, with the bar program, many more employees, an isolated place for people to come and sit outside the weather. I mean, that's right. These are all things that we knew would be a good thing in our pocket, but we didn't, I guess, at the time realize what it would be. And so now we're 2.5 months in. It's been very consistent, and this is the new normal.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, that's great. And again, like you said, having an inside place and having a bar program, because you do that right, there's some nice margin in that. And now, so again, June 22nd, we're recording this in early August of, June of 2022. We're recording this in early August. And it looks like, at least based on the website, that what was going to be your second, but now your first outside the rail yard is now your second one. And that's going to be there in the old location where the Ozark Mountain Smokehouse was, just north of the Cantrell, Mississippi intersection, and what we would now consider Midtown Little Rock, which used to be way west Little Rock. You're still looking at fall and trying to get that place open?
First, second week of October is our target date.
So the building is up?
Yes.
Okay.
Almost in the dry. We're framing. So.
Okay. Super. And you see it as being kind of a mirror location of Maumelle Boulevard in terms of menu and the way it goes? I mean,
yes, it's still a fast casual setup with full service bar. So have about 100 seats.
And how many seats do you have on Maumelle Boulevard?
About 92.
Okay, well, same basic thing then.
Right.
And again, we were talking earlier. I mean, that is a location where lots of folks go by. People in Maumelle have, not that your place is by any means expensive, but there's some disposable income in Maumelle. There's some disposable income in that part of Little Rock, and so. And lots of cars going by. So I'm excited for you. So you will have opened 2 restaurants in just a few months. Is that more exciting than scary, or scary than exciting, or what would you say?
I'm excited about it.
Yeah, I'm excited about it.
Yeah, because now, again, you've 2.5 months in on Maumelle Boulevard. You know how it's going. And again, as we were talking earlier, there's some benefits to scale, and also some benefits in the confidence you have. And we've done this before; we can do it again.
Yeah, and I think right now we've been able to take what we did at Maumelle, which we call on the Boulevard, or at the Boulevard as well.
Boulevard. Yes,
and then the Keatley location is called at the Crossroads, and that's kind of like East meets West.
Yep.
Mississippi. Nobody west of Mississippi wants to go east of Mississippi, and vice versa.
Everyone that hears that knows it's true.
So we're going to have a good time making some T-shirts after that. But the good thing that we've done at Maumelle so far is we're building that blueprint for Keatley. You know, to be able to walk in and, you know, to the extent of having small wares and management schedules and, you know, the amount of people that we need at shift and, you know, all these things. I mean, that's the beneficial piece of us opening Maumelle before Keatley. And I think Keatley's going to be really strong when we open.
Yeah, that's great. Well, I look forward to it. You know, people get excited and you have a lot of support. I mean, for good reason. We were talking earlier about Kevin Shalin, the Mighty Rib. I mean, there's, you know, between him and Greg Henderson and other bloggers around here, I mean, you don't just have to rely anymore on somebody coming out and doing a newspaper review. You got all kinds of, and then with the social media activities that you all do. So, okay, well, we've worked through your personal stories. So here we got 2 barbecue stars who are former waste management executive and a blind company operator. So that's interesting stories about the evolution of your personal careers, but also the evolution of your business. So now let's not just talk about the fact that you do cook. Let's talk about what you cook and how you cook it. So first, the what. It looks like you are equal opportunity smokers because you've got a wide array of choices. Wings, and I think smoked wings are underappreciated because everybody thinks they got to be sauced in Buffalo Wild Wing style. Smoked wings, he's got sausage, chicken, pork, beef brisket, baby back ribs. Is that variety driven by customer request / demand, or just the fact that you like cooking all that stuff?
I don't know what we could take off the menu.
Right.
I mean,
well, we got turkey, we got burnt ends, we got pork belly.
I mean, what could we take
so I haven't even hit it all.
Yeah, I mean, we got a ton of stuff. Yeah, I mean, I think it's just an array. I think people want a variety of things.
Yeah, burnt ends are good, man.
You can't have a barbecue restaurant without those, can you?
Well, you know, I think there's the other. We talked earlier about Lasses Inn. Before we got on the air, the only other place that's on the Hall of Fame is over in Mariana, and they just have pulled pork, and that's it.
know.
But I hadn't driven over there for it. I'm sure it's fabulous. Well, I love the variety, and I munched on several of those things while I was at your restaurant on Maumelle Boulevard. So I find brisket is an interesting thing, and you talked earlier about getting one right and then not getting any right for a while. That's not on every barbecue menu in Arkansas because people, that's Texas. You know, we're pork, they're beef, but done right, there's little better. So I'm sure, again, you couldn't take anything off the menu. I'm sure you got brisket fans galore that come to Count Porkula for brisket.
We do. We actually
do.
Yeah.
It's been a good staple of ours the last couple of years, and we, you know, like he said, we didn't do it right the first time, but it took us a while to get it right, and we feel like brisket is a Texas style. You know, I don't know if anybody can say what Arkansas is known for. I guess it's pork.
It's pork.
But we're surrounded by, you know, Kansas City barbecue.
Sure.
You know, South Carolina barbecue.
Alabama barbecue. Very underrated.
Well, then you got the dry rib, you know, rendezvous style of ribs, you know, red peppered ribs in Memphis. So
and Texas barbecue, you know, Texas brisket, salt and pepper. I mean, so we take a little bit from all those and kind of put them into Count Porkula, and that's what you get with us.
So what do y'all do in terms of woods? Do you have a variety of, does it depend on what you're cooking, or you use the same kind of wood for most everything?
Well, I mean, there's the bird in hand comment. I mean, you know, whatever you can get. But our favorites are obviously nuts and fruits, pecan, cherry, if we can find it. But that's typically what we use.
Well, we're sitting here at Benny Keith, and obviously they provide food, but I guess there's wood distributors that you guys go to get.
We've been using a tree service out of Conway for a while.
Wow, they cut the trees, and then they're like, hey, we got all the...
Yeah, shout out to Vogel Tree Service.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I guess, hey, somebody needs a tree cut so it doesn't fall on their house, and hey, let's make some barbecue with it.
That's right.
So what about your sauce? Do you have, is the sauce the same for all, or do you have is a sauce like, and I know you were talking earlier about you didn't know what you were doing, so you didn't have rubs, you didn't have a sauce you liked. Have you all, I guess, have developed rubs and sauces?
We do. Yeah, we have our own rub. We have our own sauce that we sell in store, and some eggshells in Little Rock we sell. It's about to be in a brand new gas station here in Arkansas.
Cool.
So we're trying to distribute those out to people. But yeah, we have one sauce. Well, we have 2 sauces or 3 sauces. One of which we sell.
Right.
But our OG, which is our original Count Porkula sauce. And then we have a mop sauce that a friend of mine in Puerto Rico sent me, and we tweaked a little bit, but we call it our mop sauce. It's more of a vinegar-style spicy sauce that we put on pork. And then we have our Arkansas, which you can explain a little bit more about how.
Well, the Arkansas is more of a chicken sauce. It's like, quote unquote, like an Alabama white sauce.
Yeah.
But we don't call it that.
Yeah.
But it's really good. It's a kind of a mayonnaise, vinegar, horseradish-based sauce. It's really good. We put it on our chicken plates, and that grew in popularity, and so then people ask for it on the wings.
It's so good on wings.
It's so good on wings. The majority of what we sell of wings are either dry, rub, with nothing on it, or with the Arkansas on it.
Yeah, that's cool. We've established that your large menu on the Boulevard is going to be generally your same menu at the Crossroads location. Is the Rail Yard able to do all of that, or is it a smaller setup?
We've actually downsized the menu at the Rail Yard, and for good reason. I mean, it's a food truck park. It's a food truck establishment,
right?
And so, with the ebbs and flows of weather and just kind of seasonality of the Rail Yard, we decided several months ago to downsize that menu for lunch and dinner.
Well, you know what's selling, and you know how much it's selling and when it's selling. So that's the way that,
I mean, with food costs the way it is, I mean, it's hard to develop, some things that are on the menu that don't sell very well, and then they end up going to waste.
Yeah, I had a friend that everybody knows, and I won't bring him up, who decided selling mussels was a great idea at his basically pub type place. They don't last long, and they didn't sell much, and he doesn't have mussels anymore. Okay, well, again, you've got even more meats than I was able to muster describing, but you also don't shortchange your fans when it comes to sides. So let me run them down, and one of you all just jump in and tell me, or both. Dill pickle pasta salad sounds interesting. Tell me what that is and how that one came to be.
Yeah, that's probably our number one seller. That originated on the food truck well before mayonnaise or mustard potato salad did, just because most barbecue places had it. And so we never kept that on the truck other than the pasta salad. And so it was something that my wife and I created and shared with my wife one day, and I let Walt and them taste it, and they liked it too. And when we just made a decision, hey, let's keep this on the truck. And so at the point in time, we were doing beans and pasta salad and chips, I think was the three items. And then now that's expanded to, all kinds of things: greens, beans, potato salad, macaroni and cheese, the whole 9 yards.
Hey, we're about to get to all of those. So stovetop beans, are those?
Hold on, if you haven't had the dill pickle,
I haven't. So obviously,
I have to say he really hit that one out of the park. I can't go a day without having.
So the pickle, obviously, pickles are a major taste profile. What else is in it besides dill pickles and pasta?
Chunks of cheddar. It's made with.
It's a sour cream base, little mayonnaise, fresh dill. Some ranch
delicious.
packets. I mean,
really
it's very good.
I know. I just
sorry, I had to give you.
I always want to just leave here and go straight to eat. I maybe have to do that. Stovetop beans, are they what you'd call fairly standard issue baked beans, or there's something different about them?
They're pretty spicy. We doctor them up. It's not a bland bean,
right?
But
yeah, there's I don't know what 12 or 13 ingredients in it.
And I'll tell you, we had a couple customers this week. Several of which absolutely love them. You either love them or you hate them.
It's great.
And it's a weird thing because people will come and they'll ask for the recipe and they'll say, what is in here? And these are fantastic. And then the next breath, we've got, a lady and gentleman that are like, they're just not my favorite. I don't know what it is about it. It's just something that's different. And so you either love them or hate them, but, majority love them, and that's why we kept them.
That's enough of them, all right. So homemade slaw, which style is that? More of a mayo or a vinegary slaw, or a both?
Both.
Yeah.
Both.
Okay, that sounds good. And then collard greens are not for everybody, but people who love them, love them?
They do.
Y'all sell some greens?
We do.
We sell some greens that was based on how my grandmother made them. And so we make them the right way every morning.
Yeah, grandmothers always know best. So you got both the mustard and a mayonnaise-style potato salad, which are very different. And I kind of like the mayo style better, but there's to each his own. Is one of them a bigger seller than the other one?
I would say the mayo.
Yeah, I mean,
maybe by a nose, but it's pretty. That's why we have both of them.
Yeah, it's a different taste.
Because some people prefer one over the other.
It's kind of like you grew up eating your grandmother's collard greens. It's sort of what you grew up eating on a potato salad,
right?
Too.
Right.
It's like me. I'm an unsweet tea guy because that's the way my mom always served it. But sweet tea people are Same thing.
Oh, we heard.
And I got to tell you, in Maumelle, they love their sweet tea.
They love some sweet tea.
We totally messed that up the first week, but we have got it fixed. Sorry, Maumelle. We appreciate you. And the sweet tea is sweet.
Sweet tea is there. All right. So mac and cheese, another one that nobody doesn't like mac and cheese. Anything?
Hardest thing we've ever made.
Really? Just okay, because it's obviously not Kraft out of a box. It's just you make a white sauce and go from there.
You say it so it sounds like it's
so easy.
So easy.
It's been really good at times, and we've made some bad macaroni and cheese, but we have it dialed in now.
Yeah,
and we've got the recipe made. We've got the equipment to make it, and the last couple of weeks.
It's really good.
Awesome.
We put a lot into it, a lot more than we thought we would.
Well, again, the fact that you're all paying so much attention to every little detail is one reason that you're doing well, and you'll continue to do well. Because a lot of people set it and forget it, and until you get it the way you want it, that's not what you want to do. Right. So, well, listen, Kelly and Walt, thank you so much for taking time to tell us your stories and the story of Count Porkula. Continued good luck in all you do. See how that Keatley store goes, and then see what happens after that. Hey, thanks everybody for listening to Heaping Spoonful today. We post new episodes on the first and third Tuesdays of each month. So please continue to check us out. Have a great rest of your day, and thanks for listening.
We hope you enjoyed this episode of Heaping Spoonful. On behalf of all of us at Benny Keith Foods, Mid-South Division, please know how much we love connecting you with the legends of the culinary scene and their unique stories. I look forward to the next time we can offer you another Heaping Spoonful.